All right, everybody, welcome to episode 33. This is the one and the only Paddy and the Yank, the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the spaceship, Paddy. How are you feeling today?
Today I'm feeling good, and today I have no song.
Do you have no soul?
Well, I don't know if anybody has a soul, but I know somebody that did have a soul. Soul brother number one, James Brown. Other than that, I don't know anybody with a soul.
Yeah, only some forms of religion actually believe in an eternal self, right? And some do not.
Huh. Really?
Like, you ever heard of Brahman and Atman?
What, man?
Brahman.
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 Brahman and Brahman and Brahman and Akman. What did you just say?
Brahman and Atman. Brahman and Atman. It's the spiritual beliefs from the Upanishads. Upanishads. I don't know why, but I felt the need to spell that. The Upanishads is like a Middle Eastern.
I was going to say sounds Middle Eastern
system, or perhaps from India, but generally from that area. And so what they believe in. Oh, I don't know the whole story, but there's like a big piece divine fabric, right? And that's called Brahma. And this divine fabric was then cut into many pieces, and everybody has a little piece inside them, which is called Atman, which is a form of eternal self. And when you die, I think your Atman goes and joins Brahma to form the divine fabric of the universe.
The people that come up with this have such good imaginations. Like, the people that conjured these things up, because this is conjured up in the human mind, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. People's imaginations amaze me.
Think
always.
about psychedelics, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, that happens in the mind.
Fucking there you go.
Think about the shit you experience, the thoughts that you have, the feelings of being connected, of being one, of, like, realizing, like, the only truth is love and connection, you know? And those...
Sounds like sounds like you'd be having some good trips there, Yank. Sometimes mine don't go so well.
Right. And think about that. Like, could the idea of hell just literally be from
a bad trip?
I mean, I've had a bad trip. Yeah, but I could very easily see how psychedelics could have given us a vision of hell. Also, like the words of Jesus, you know, or like the words of Muhammad or whatever prophet you want to talk about, a lot of those words are pretty similar, right? And when they're...
Don't steal anything. Don't stab anybody. Don't fuck with someone else's wife. Don't be talking bad about whoever you believe to be God. All those kinds of things.
Love and respect.
Yeah.
Love thy neighbor.
Your man that lived next door, treat him like he'd like you to be treated himself. I think I said that wrong. treat others as you would like others to treat you. I think that's what it was.
Treat your neighbor like you think he might want to be treated.
So, you know what? Speaking of trips, you went on a little trip this weekend.
I did.
Not a psychedelic one, I'm thinking, but like...
Mostly not.
You went to the mountains and you were finishing the transcribing of your book.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well... I broke my ribs last Halloween, as I know you're well aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was crying and bitching and moaning every day. And you're like, man up. Stop crying. Do something with your life, boy. And you said write a book. And I had already tried to write a book about my life at least one or two times prior. But it was too hard, man. It was too much truth for me. Too much truth for me to face. Because my past involves a lot of death and addiction and very, very challenging things to look at about myself, like looking in a mirror. So I tried before and I gave up, and this time I was just like, let's go. And I added enough fantasy to balance the truth to make it digestible.
Awesome.
And that was really what gave me the ability to finish writing the book, which I wrote by hand. I filled 3 notebooks, and then this week, man, I was just making such slow progress.
Yeah.
You know, like transcribing. I wrote it all by hand, so I would try to transcribe 2 to 5 pages a day.
Transcribe, you mean type it into the laptop, right?
Type what I had written by hand.
Okay.
And fuck, I'm so glad I went to the mountain, because at that rate, I would have never finished this book. Never. It just would have taken forever. On this mountain, I typed average, I would say 5.5 hours a day, 3 days straight. And so I went up to this mountain. My buddy has this Airbnb. I guess it's just a B&B for mountain bikers.
Yeah.
And he is up there. He wakes up every morning and spends all day traveling around the mountain, cutting trails for like professional mountain bikers to come race.
That's cool.
It's wild. And he's like so dedicated, so amped. He's just living the fucking dream. And he goes out every day with his bloodhound and cuts trails and then chops wood, builds a fire, drinks beer, smokes a cigarette. And I'm just like, man, this is a man's man right here. This man is fucking amazing. This dude is cool. Like, he seems so in tune with, like, I feel like the way we're supposed to be living, like more similar to the way our ancestors would have lived.
Yeah.
He's got like no AC. He's got no TV.
He's got no AC.
He doesn't need it. He's up on the mountain with these ceilings that are like
I suppose
2.5 stories tall.
Cooler up there, right?
Yeah. And he's got this dog, and there are spiders everywhere, and there's a frog that comes up every night. And it was such a cool environment. It was the perfect environment to write my book. And after 3 days of purely dedicated writing, my book is fucking done.
Woo! Yeah! So, for all our listeners out there, the Yank just finished writing his first book. I believe it's a book loosely based on your life.
Mostly, not loosely, mostly.
Mostly based on your life.
Yeah.
I'd
say it's 80 to 90%. I'd say it's 80 to 85% true.
Okay.
And then just littered with pieces of fantasy.
Like I've seen your writing before, and you've read me some of your stuff, and that's why I was trying to, give you the motivation to write, because you're a damn good writer. And I look forward to reading the book. And anybody that's listening, I guess the book probably wouldn't be out till maybe December next year or something.
Next year?
Or this year. Sorry.
I hope the editing doesn't take that long.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically Paddy laid out the whole process and the timeline and what this would look like. And so my goal, since I started writing last Halloween, or shortly, because I broke my ribs on Halloween, so I think I started writing last November. Yeah. And my goal, I can't believe it, it's already been almost a year. So it's already almost been a year. My goal was to have it published by Christmas.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long. When I was doing this, there's writing, and then there's transcribing, and then there's personal edit, and then I don't know what you would call it. You hire an editor.
Yep.
And then finally you find a publisher, but then you still need to do like the artistic design, right? There's like one
cover design, all that.
Like we talked about Ibogaine last week, right?
Yep.
And we talk about that part where I see like this eternal green being in the sky. For that part of the book, I would like to have a drawing, because I think it might be hard for knowers or readers to really understand what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So I want to have an illustration.
It's always good to have some illustrations in there.
Yeah. So it's awesome. And I think the hard part is over, dude. And now it's just the editing, which actually I thought it was going to be hard, but I think it's just going to be fucking fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to reading it. And I reckon it's going to do good. I reckon it's going to be a success.
Thank you very much.
And I hope it is a success. Now, what I want to take you back a couple of steps there is when you were up in the mountain there, you sent me some fucking pictures of some big-ass spiders.
Woo, that shit was crazy.
Man.
That was crazy. Golden orbs. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, golden orb or an orb weaver spider, yeah.
Orb weaver spider.
Yeah.
My first thing when I saw the first one was I thought it was a huntsman spider.
Okay. Because
huntsman spiders are really big, right?
Yes, I've got a story about a huntsman spider. I'll tell you after we have this little segment. I'll tell you my story about the huntsman spider.
Sure.
For anybody that's listening, a golden orb weaver or an orb weaver spider is one of the biggest spiders in the world.
Is it?
The females can grow up to 20 centimeters long.
Yeah, so
that's a big spider.
The spiders that I saw, I want to say they're like 6 to 10 centimeters.
They were big
in diameter.
Yeah.
Ish, like the size, almost the size of my hand.
Yeah.
In length.
Yeah.
And some of them would have like yellow bellies.
Yeah.
And some of them might have like more of a green belly or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
man.
a massive spider. The first time I seen them here, I was like, "What the hell? Like that's insane!" And if you're hiking around the mountains here in Taiwan, if you look up into the trees, you'll often see that they make a huge web between trees or between spaces in the tree, and that's where you'll usually see them, like hanging up there. And you see them just sitting in the middle of their web, just sitting there, just waiting. Now, the thing about the golden orb weaver spider is it's a huge spider. People might be scared of it. It's not hairy. It's not a hairy spider, but it's not venomous to humans. It's like if you got bit off it, it's not really going to do anything to you.
My friend got a pretty bad spider bite while I was there.
Really?
Yeah, it looked pretty, like it was on his forearm, and it was. It started off red, and then it got bigger, and then it got swollen and red, and then he got a bandage on it. I was like, shit,
okay,
fuck, should I be worried?
No, I mean, I mean, fuck, man, I don't want to get bit off one of those motherfuckers.
Right, I'm like, if he got bit, then that means I could get. I don't think it was from an orb though. I think it might have been from a different spider.
It could be something else. Yeah,
I don't know.
Because like, what I consider to be like, okay, if a spider bites you and you get like the 2 little red marks and it gets a bit itchy and a rash or it swells up a little bit, that's fine. But if you get bit by something like the funnel web spider or the Brazilian wandering spider, it's death, man. You're gonna
the Brazilian wandering spider.
The Brazilian wandering spider, I think, is the most poisonous or venomous spider in the world.
That's crazy. I never even heard of it.
Yeah, it.
What about a tarantula?
Tarantulas. Again, for us, I don't think tarantulas are necessarily that venomous. Tarantulas are big, like the Goliath bird-eating tarantula that they have in Africa is insane, man. You should check that. Check that
Goliath?
The Goliath bird-eating spider.
Whoa.
That lives. I think it's found in the Amazon. This thing is the size of a dinner plate.
Whoa!
And it can
really?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It can
I guess
eat
that makes
birds.
Sense. Wow.
Catch and eat birds.
So its web is big enough to catch a fucking bird.
No. I don't think it doesn't catch a bird in a web. I think this Goliath bird-eating spider hides under the foliage on the ground, the leaves and stuff like that, and it will like literally attack them.
Whoa!
Like, yeah.
Like the hand from the movie Idle Hands. It like jumps up and like grabs it.
Yeah. Well, going back to like a spider, even like let's say the Brazilian wandering spider, I think that's similar. That I don't necessarily think that makes a web. Like the huntsman spider we were talking about there earlier. The huntsman is a huge spider found in Australia and found in Asia. It's found in a lot of different countries. That doesn't make a web. And I'll tell you a story, right? I've had 3 encounters, very close encounters with huntsman spiders. When I say close, people are like, oh, you see one on a wall. No, where like I'm involved with the spider, right? And the first one was when I was in Australia. I was living in a place called Manjimup. It's a small little village in the southwest of Australia, below Perth. And I was there doing farm work. And we're out like in the middle of nowhere, like 50 backpackers living in a commune, like a compound. And you would go then and you would do your farm work, like picking apples. Anybody that's done the working holidays in Australia and done their farm work, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You could be picking avocados, you're cutting broccoli. That was a tough one. But anyways, the main compound area was already full up with backpackers. One room had 12, one room had 6. Then it goes down to 4 and 2. So when I first got there with my brother, there was no room for us at the inn. So we had to go up and stay in like, there was like a big manor house. Like there was like a bridge across. You're in the middle of the forest, like bridge across with a little stream running underneath it. That's where the manor house was. That's where the lady who ran the place lived. She was a big, tough looking son of a gun, lesbian, AC/DC t-shirt wearing. Driving around on a fucking quad. Like she was cool. I liked her. So I had to go up and stay in a part of their house, which was kind of like just 2 bunk beds, whatever like that. And it was kind of, again, you're not really protected that much from the elements. Long story short, I was up on the bed this first night and I had my phone on charge down below beside the second bunk. My phone was on charge. So up here it's pitch black. I have nothing to shine a light. I don't have a watch that would light on it. I don't have a torch. I don't have a phone. It's down there. And I'm lying face down. I sleep face down most of the time, right?
Really?
I sleep face down most of the time.
That's
face down.
Really good for your back.
I don't know. I don't think it's so good for your heart, but whatever.
Really? It's bad for your heart?
I don't know. Hopefully not, but I heard something about that. So I'm lying face down, asleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and there's something on my back. And it's big. And it's slowly fucking crawling up my back. And I mean, it's like, I know it's the size of my fucking hand, at least. And it's like, I have nothing on. I sleep naked, ladies and gentlemen, for comfort. And I'm lying there.
So you always sleep naked, face down. Jesus. Do you have like a ball gag in your mouth too?
And I'm hog-tied.
And anal beads?
So anyways, I'm lying there, face down, pitch black, and I feel this massive thing crawling up my back. And it's at my lower lat, below your armpit. and I'm like fucking sweating, and I'm like, I'm just frozen. I'm just completely frozen, and I don't want to fucking move. So I said, right, as soon as it gets to this certain position on my arm, once it reaches the back of my shoulder, my delt, I'm going to fucking whack it off with my hand as fast as I fucking can. I'm just going to hit it as fast as I can.
No shit.
Damn straight.
So it woke you up, and you immediately came up with a plan.
It's straight away.
Wow.
I used to watch a ton. I used to watch a ton of wildlife documentaries. I've got a very defensive mindset, even when it comes to something like this. So I'm lying there, frozen solid. It's crawling up my fucking back. It's just above my armpit now, and it's coming to my delt. So I instantly whack it with my fucking hand. And I leap up out of the bed. Like, you can only leap like this when you're in a completely, like, you know, heightened sense of fear. Like, if I was to try and jump up off this chair now as fast as I did that night, there's no way I could do it. But in the moment of fear, and you know that you're going to be able to do crazy shit. So I just jumped up off the top of the fucking bed, and I tried to get my balance. And when I put my fucking hand down, I put my hand down on the fucking spider.
Oh,
he's right there. He's like, he's jumping around too, and I'm like, fuck. And there's people sleeping below me in these fucking bunks. They're like, wake, what the fuck's going on? And I literally launched myself off the top of the bunk beds in the pitch black, and I got my fucking phone, man, shine my fucking phone. I just seen it kind of scamper up the walls. Like, oh my god.
Oh my. You
How
saw it scamper up the walls?
Man, these
huge spider the size of your hand.
At least the size of my hand, maybe even bigger. These things, man, they can jump like crazy, these huntsman spiders. And they run. You want to see a huntsman run. It's the freakiest thing ever. They kind of run sideways really, really fast.
Like a crab?
Almost like, sometimes they call them a crab spider.
Really?
Yeah. They're so fucking freaky. And
dude, the huntsman spider, are they venomous?
They're not really venomous to us, no.
Do they bite?
Yeah, they'd fucking bite.
So they just bite you and it hurts.
Well, they got big fangs, so you wouldn't want to get bit off one for sure.
Why not?
Do you want to get bit off a
well, I'm
big
just saying,
dirty spider?
If something,
it would hurt.
If something
it's nasty.
If something poisonous bites me,
yeah.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Like I might die.
Yeah.
But if a rat bites me or a beaver bites me for whatever reason,
beaver. I could just have beaver biting you. Like, where the fuck?
Oh, you remember the animal we were talking about in the invasive species episode called the nutria?
Yeah, it was like
it was about a half beaver, half swamp rat. Right? If one of those motherfuckers bites you, it had like big yellow buck teeth and shit. Actually, you're going to have trouble getting it to stop biting you.
You know what? when we talk about stuff like this, right, there's people at home now that are cringing, that are like listening to this story going, oh. Like, I got a friend.
Picture of a nutria. They're nasty.
I got a friend in Australia, and he's a big guy, lifts weights, like bodybuilder, does a lot of triathletes now, Ironmans and that. And if he's seen like a fucking spider the size of your fucking the nail on your baby finger, he would freak the fuck out. And you would a guy in Canada, like a biker guy, big tough man, the tiniest spider, and he turns into a little girl. So this night, when I had that encounter with the huntsman, I was going back up into the bed and I was like, I gotta sleep, I gotta do some fucking like farm work tomorrow or whatever. So, man, this spider came back about 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night.
Bullshit.
2 or 3 fucking times. At one stage, I think he was on my head, and I just accepted it.
What?
I just accepted it and said, right, whatever. And I eventually slept. That sounds, to some people, that sounds crazy. I'm in bed with this fucking big ass spider. So, but that wasn't. That was my most intense encounter with the huntsman. But I got another story for you about a huntsman.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So that spider kept coming back.
Yeah, like
and eventually you gave up, and you're like, fuck it, just. All right, we can cuddle tonight.
Yeah, there's like one moment where I could feel the huntsman crawling around the top of my head, and I'm like just lying there straight. At this stage, I was lying face up. I was like, I don't want to lie on my back. I feel like I'm in too much of a like a precarious situation, like, you know, where I can't really do much. So yeah, at one stage I remember waking up in the middle of the night and there's something crawling in my head again, and I was like, fuck it, and I just went back to sleep. You know what I mean? It didn't take much for me to give up, but like some people in that situation, they wouldn't sleep all night. It's just like the end of the world. So anyways,
I wouldn't have been able to sleep. I would have been so petrified that it was going to come back. I would just been in
I was after the first encounter. I was terrified, and then I kind of eventually fell asleep. And then when the second time it crawled to me, I think I must have reacted and jumped and done whatever. And then the third time I remember it was when it was on my head, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm tired, I don't give a fuck.
That's weird. So there was many people in this room, right? But this spider kept coming back for you.
No, there was just me on the top bunk, and then there was like a couple underneath me. I was in a different area. They moved me to a part of the house because there was no room for me at the big compound at this stage.
Sure they didn't move you because you were the spider bait?
I don't fucking know. So that was my first encounter with an Australian huntsman. Now my second encounter with an Australian huntsman was pretty intense as well. Not as intense as that, but I'll tell you the story. So I don't remember if it was 2015 or 2016, but I decided to drive from Perth in Western Australia all the way across the country. You're talking thousands of miles. And I wasn't just going to go in a straight line. I was going to stop off. I basically gave myself over a month to do it. I was with a girl at the time, and we decided to camp all along the way. Like, you're in the Australian bush, you're out in the fucking wild. It was a pretty crazy experience. You pass a lot of cool small towns in, like, Western Australia, like little beach towns, surf towns. I think Esperance was the name of one. Esperance was just a cool little beach town. So shout out to anybody that would ever be listening from Esperance. And also on this trip, you will drive on a road that is one of the longest straight roads in the entire world.
Dude, I feel like there's a lot of like weird, crazy serial killers there.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
That is part of this story.
It's making me think of like the South in America, but like weird hillbilly serial killer, like Ed Gein type people.
Every night we would set up camp. Like sometimes we'd camp at a lot of times at a beach area, but you got to still drive off road. You head down to this spot, and there might be a couple of people camped there or whatever like that. But a lot of the times we were camping out in the bush in the middle of nowhere. Like we would drive all day. I would wake up in the morning. I would cook some eggs on the little gas stove, wrap up the tent. Everything I had was in this car. Everything me and this girl had was in this car. We just said, let's just drop everything and just drive to the other side of the country and set up shop over there. So my job during the day would be driving the car, and she'd have all these little things and places she wanted to see, like I want to see this, I want to see that, and go there. Nothing was off limits. We would take as many detours as we wanted. I gave myself over a month, but there was no real time limit on it. So we hit this road, and it was called it's after a place called the Nullarbor. Now, the Nullarbor, Mad Max, man. Mad Max is Australian. The movies Mad Max, they come from Australia. We're driving in areas like that. Like, I'm on this fucking place called the Nullarbor. People have been telling me about it, and there's just nothing either side of you. It's just like desert, like whatever. And I bought this car like a week before the trip. I didn't even have a full license or nothing. People were like, you're crazy, man. This is just not going to end well. I bought this car. It was a 3-litre V6 lowered to the ground for some stupid ass reason, I don't know why. All-wheel drive Mitsubishi Magna. It was like a rocket. And I came after getting through the Nullarbor. I came to this spot, and it was like a massive sign. It was like the 90-mile straight, 140 kilometers of straight road. So we checked it out. We're like, oh, fuck me, what? Really? Like this road is straight without a single bend for 90 miles, 140 kilometers. So of course I put the fucking pedal to the metal on this road, like just to see. I'm not a speed freak. I don't like driving fast. But it's like, I'm on a straight road. What can happen?
You don't like driving fast?
No, I'm not into it. No.
I don't get it.
I don't.
What kind of man are you?
I'm just a regular old guy. Just a regular old Joe. So anyways, the 90 miles straight, I just tested it out, and it was like a crazy feeling going that fast just in a straight line, and without worrying about anything, any bends in the road or anything like that. So anyways, long story short, we're camping in all kinds of wild places, and this talking about serial killers, there's a very famous movie from Australia called Wolf Creek. I don't know if you've seen it, Yank. If you haven't,
heard of it.
Oh, check it out. The movie Wolf Creek. All right, Wolf Creek is probably the most famous Australian horror movie ever. So it's a super famous horror movie, and every backpacker that goes to Australia that does like their farm work and has to stay with all these other backpackers, almost every one of these people have seen this movie Wolf Creek. And if they haven't seen it, they watch it when they're in Australia. You know why? It's because it's based on a guy called Ivan Milat. And Ivan Milat was an Australian serial killer who was convicted of the backpacker murderers in 1996. Right? So Milat, commonly known as the backpacker murderer, assaulted, imprisoned, robbed and murdered 2 men and 5 women in New South Wales between 1989 and 1992. And what he would do is he would approach hitchhikers along Hume Highway, so that's the name of a highway in New South Wales, under the guise of providing them transport to areas of southern New South Wales. Then what he would do is he'd take his victims to the Belanglo State Forest, where he would incapacitate and murder them. Milat has been called Australia's worst serial killer. So they made this movie called Wolf Creek, and it's fucking terrifying, man. Like, it really is. So when we were doing this road trip, of course, loads of people were joking with us before we left, like, oh, fucking Wolf Creek, and be careful out there in the bush. You never know who's around and this and that. Now, I brought a big Bowie knife, a hunting knife, with me over from Ireland on the plane when I came to Australia. I declared it at customs, and they took it out, and they looked, and they're like, this is a big knife. We need to talk to somebody. And then, but I declared it. And they're like, okay, what are you going to use this knife for? And I was like, I like to fish. I like to camp a lot. And yeah, this thing could literally chop down a small tree. So
Wow.
I had this with me. And every time we would pull in somewhere to camp at night, like we would just randomly go off road into the bush, I would have this thing by my side, strapped to my side. So this one particular night,
Wow.
and it's always in your mind, it's in your mind the whole time. You're so vulnerable when you're out there in a tent, especially in these kind of environments. You're very, very vulnerable, And so we're there this one particular night, and we're camping in the middle of nowhere, like, and it's just pretty much empty space. And then a while later, like a motorhome pulls in, like down across from us, like let's say, I don't know, a good few fucking meters down from us, just under a tree, and just kind of stops, and all the lights go off inside it. And I'm kind of like, okay, it's a little bit weird. Don't see nobody moving around inside it. Don't see anything going on. Thinking, okay, maybe, they just literally pulled in and turned off the lights to sleep. They've been driving all day, but we're in the middle of nowhere. How did they even come? How do we even find this spot? So how do we even find this spot? So how did they even find this spot? It's not a camping site. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was weird, and I was like, okay, I'm a little freaked out. So I had the knife in my little side sheath, and we were just about to start cooking dinner. I would cook mainly pasta and stuff like that on the gaslit stove every night, and I'm there cooking my food away, and I noticed that a light has come on in the RV, the motorhome. I'm thinking, okay, whatever. So I just kind of, there's a little clip on the knife, that holds it in the sheath. I just kind of unclip that. I'm just thinking, right, and I know I've got a hammer there as well. You think this sounds crazy? People think this sounds crazy. It's the middle of the night. You're in the middle of nowhere in the bush in Australia. You've found a little spot to camp, and then all of a sudden, down from you, a big motorhome just pulls in and turns off. So you're going to be freaked out. I'm thinking fucking Wolf Creek shit like crazy. So anyways, we're there cooking away. There was a bit windy that night, right? There was a bit of dust blowing up, a lot of dust there, and it's windy. So I decided to take the gas cooker and bring it to the back of the car, open the boot, or the trunk as you say in America, and put it in there to prevent wind from blowing out the flame. So I'm doing that, I'm cooking away, and next time I hear these fucking approaching footsteps. I'm like, what the fuck? So I head from around the side of the car. Of course, naturally just get from the back. I want to see what the fuck. Is some cunt coming over to kill me or what? So I turn around the side, and my girlfriend's there with me, and this guy's approaching us. Just a single man. Looks about in his, I'd say, mid-50s. And he just comes over, and I'm like, what's up? And he's like, all right, mate. I see you cooking there on the old stove. He's like, it's a bit windy. He's like, why don't you come over into the RV here, and you can cook on my fire, on my stove or whatever. And I was like, this is just absolute, like, stereotypical serial killer beginning shit. Like, I'm going to get in there and get murdered. So I was like, no, I'm good. Cheers. It's all right. We're almost finished. And he was cooking. He's like, all right. Well, if you're sure, it's okay. So, you know where I am. I'm over here. You come over anytime and all this kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And then he just headed off back to his RV, and it's like I had a very restless sleep that night. More restless than with the huntsman. I had the hammer to the left of me when I was sleeping, and I had my fucking Bowie knife open sheath ready there on the right hand side. I felt so vulnerable, but again, I guess he was just a nice guy, guy that wanted to let us cook in his RV because it was windy out and we're cooking in the back of the car. But at the same time, am I going to take that chance? No, I've watched too many serial killer movies to take that one. So anyways, we keep driving on this fucking this mission to get to Sydney, and this one night we head off road, and we're going to look at some sites she wants to see. So we're driving off road, and this car is very low to the ground, and I don't know why, but it's an all-wheel drive car, but it's low to the ground, and I hit something. Whatever happens, I have a big problem with the fucking car. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Long story short, the red oil light is on as well, and it's like, that's bad news. So I'm looking for oil leaks, nothing, whatever. I said, we got to get the fuck out of here and back to that little... You wouldn't even call this place a village. It's like, on the side of the road there, it's like Mad Max, there's a shack, and there's like someone selling gasoline, and it's real fucking, like you said, hillbilly shit. Yeah. So I said, we got to drive back to that area, and we got to sort something out, because this fucking car could be fucked. So we headed off road back to this little area, and I was like, there might have been 4 or 5, there was a couple of houses, and I said, fuck it, I pulled up outside one house and turned off the car. And I met this guy there and said, hey, is there a mechanic or anything around here, or a garage, like, is there any kind of shit around here where somebody would know anything about cars? He's like, actually, there's a mechanic around the corner, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, fucking great, okay. He said, but he's not open till the morning. I was like, all right. I was like, what the fuck are we going to do? And he said, what's the story? I told him what the story was of the car. He said, okay, that doesn't sound good. Everything we had was in this car. This car was us. We were just driving across the country. What would we have done? I don't know. So he's like, oh, just behind you there's like a camper park. And we just like turned around. There's like a little area where you could camp. I was like, no way. So we just drove the car over there. I called somebody who's a mechanic in Australia, and they told me to check a few things, and they said, all right, it's either this electrical problem or it's the oil thing and your car is completely fucked. I was like, okay, I got to wait till the morning and try and find this mechanic. The guy had given me his number as well, by the way. The guy that I met on the road gave me the mechanic's number. So I say, fuck it, whatever. We're kind of panicking a little bit because, you know what I mean, we're halfway across Australia in the middle of fucking nowhere and we might not have a car now and everything we owned in the car. So this particular night we're in the tent, and this chick I was with, every time she wanted to go to the toilet, no matter what time of the night it was, of course I had to go up and go with her. You know what I mean? We're in the middle of nowhere in Australia. There's a little outhouse, you know what I mean? You just don't know. She's a little Asian girl or whatever. So I head out of the tent with her in the middle of the night, zip up the tent. My rule of thumb was, as soon as you get in, you zip the tent. As soon as you get out, you zip the tent, right? That way you don't get any shit in your fucking tent. You got a lot of fucking snakes there and all kinds of shit, right? So we head to the toilet. She uses the fucking toilet. We're walking back. She goes into the tent ahead of me, and we had a little lantern hanging inside the tent that you could just turn on when you get in. So she goes into the tent in front of me. I come in behind her, I turn around and zip close the tent, and as she's turning on the light, I see something massive jump off her back and land in the center of the tent. I was like, whoa!
Shit.
I was like, don't fucking move! She's like, what? I was like, turn on the light, but don't fucking move. So she turns on the light, and there's a fucking huntsman, man, bigger than my fucking hand,
Holy
right
shit.
there on our fucking little sleeping bag. Now, just for reference, this tent was a 2-man tent. It's a very small tent. And I'm like, I said to her, don't move. I said, if we move and this thing starts fucking jumping and going crazy, it's going to be, the tent will come down. She'll freak out and I'll be trying to catch it and the whole tent will come down. So it's like, we're there completely frozen. The light's on and there's this massive huntsman just sitting there right on the sleeping bag. And I'm like, right, okay, hang on a second. We had bought a little duvet for traveling because we're in the car. And
What's
it had
a duvet?
A duvet is like a quilt cover, a blanket for your bed. I don't know. There's probably a million ways to say it. Like a blanket, like a fluffy blanket that you get in a hotel.
Comforter.
There you go, a comforter. Yeah, all right. There's a million ways of saying it. So we got like quilt, duvet, blanket, comforter. So it's when we bought this comforter in a secondhand store, it had like a plastic zip-up case for it, which was foldable. I knew that was in the tent behind her. So we're there frozen in this situation. The huntsman's there. He hasn't moved yet. He's just standing there. So I'm like, right, he's kind of going, what the fuck's going on? And we're like, what the fuck's going on? So I said to her, grab the fucking duvet cover. Sorry, the comforter. Grab the comfort cover, I said, and very slowly hand it to me. So she slowly hands me the comforter cover. I don't want to kill this thing either. I mean, it would be hard to kill this motherfucker. He's big. I had nothing. Why would I kill him with my bare hands? You know what I mean? And once he starts flying around the tent, it's pandemonium. So I got that off her in my right hand and I moved it to my left hand. Behind me to the left is the opening of the door. I said to her, I'm going to move this in front of the spider. I said, I'm going to coax him onto it. I said, what I want you to do is, I said, get your hand, I said, and put it on the zip of the tent. I said, and when I say so, zip open the tent really fast, right? But don't do it until I tell you to do it. She's like, okay. So she gets herself kind of into position, and now the huntsman starts walking. And I'm like, oh shit, he's moving. Okay, he's moving, but he's not running fast. So she's in position. She's terrified. I get this comforter cover, and I put it in front of the spider, knowing that that's his path. That's where he's going to walk onto. You know what I mean? That's the thing with spiders. You can put something in front of them, and they'll slowly just walk onto it a lot of the times. So I kind of having to coax him on a bit. So I'm kind of putting my hand a little bit kind of close behind him, trying to get a bit of movement on this sleeping bag to get him to walk forward. So he walks forward, and then in like 5 seconds, he's on the comforter cover now. So he's like right beside my hand. I'm like, open the fucking door! Open the door! So she zips open the door really fast. I just fucking fire the thing out the door, zip up the tent, and that was it. I got rid of him. I caught the huntsman and got him out of a 2-man tent in the middle of the night.
Damn.
So that's my second story about huntsman. And then it turned out the next day the problem with our car wasn't major, and it was I ran over a fence and the fence wedged up in between my engine and all kinds of shit, and it was causing crazy shit to happen. My third and final story about the huntsman spider, I won't go too crazy, but I was getting close to Sydney on this journey, right, across Australia. And what we would normally do is I would just drive for hours during the day, and then when it would come to the evening, it would be like, right, we've got about 2 hours before the sun goes down. Start getting on your phone there and see if there's any camping areas, or if not, if sometimes we couldn't find them, we would just drive off-road into the bush and camp. So we're finding nothing. I've been driving for 8 hours straight now. 8 hours straight. And I took a big detour to go and visit Ned Kelly's home, and where he got shot. I'll tell you about that again. And I drove through this whole fucking mountainous area to get to the other side, and there was nothing on the other side. I was like, are you kidding me? So I had to drive all the way back. My eyes are burning, like, out of my head. They're just burnt out of my fucking head. And when I'm driving back on this mountain trail, it's foggy. And it's like, it's full on hairpin turns everywhere. And next when I turn this bend and there's like a giant pig in the middle of the road. I'm like, what the fuck is that? What? And she's like, whoa, what the fuck is that? It was what you call a wombat. An Australian wombat. And it's like, they were everywhere. Every fucking turn I made, there was like giant hairy pigs on the road. I was like, fuck me. I was like, right. I was like, keep your eyes open. I'm literally holding my eyes open like this, driving the car at the same time. And long story short, we came to this little spot. We said, right,
a wombat is how big?
like the size of a small pig, man.
The size of a small pig.
Yeah.
Like a potbelly pig, not a full-size pig.
Not a massive hog, no, but the wombat gets pretty big, man. The wombat gets pretty big, and it's hairy, and it's got a kind of a snout.
Whoa.
I had never seen
see a picture.
Yeah, I'd never seen one before until this night. Like in the middle of the road in the fog, I'm like, it's a fucking hairy pig. What the hell is this? So, anyways, we get to this little spot to camp, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so wrecked. Like, oh Jesus Christ, that was just like a horrible driving experience. So, what would happen is I would normally take all the shit out of the trunk of the car, and I would set up the tent. It's just more efficient. I don't want, it's like I know how to set the tent up. I'll have it done in 5 minutes. Her job was to do up the inside of the tent, get everything in there, get all the stuff in that, and I would cook the food. So she's sitting first in the front of the car, and she's just cleaning her face. And I'm going to the trunk of the car, and I've got everything out, and I just close the boot of the car, and I just see a massive huntsman on the back window of the car, and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, whatever, get the fuck out of here. And then I realise he's not on the outside of the car, he's on the fucking inside of the car, and I'm like, no, why of all times, it's the middle of the night again, and I have a problem with a fucking huntsman. So I like kind of went around the side of the car and knocked on her window, and was like, get out of the car. She's like, what? I'm cleaning my face. I was like, get out of the car now. So she gets out of the car, and I said, look, and the huntsman was here on the back window, and she's like, oh my god. And it's like, I know I have to catch him. How am I going to drive the car the next day with a massive huntsman in the car? Imagine I'm driving on the road and this fucking huntsman jumps in my face. So I was like, oh fuck, here we go again. So I got a container that you would put food in, and I got like a piece of cardboard. And my main worry was he had moved now from the back window to the ceiling of the car. And there's so many little crooks and crannies and crevices that a spider can hide in, that it's like, Jesus, this is like, the eyes are burnt out of my head. I've been driving all day. So I open the side door of the car. I say to her, all I want you to do is shine the light for me. That's all I want. Okay? Nothing else. Just shine the light for me. That's all. And she's freaking out. Like, hates spiders. You know what I mean? She's just terrified. So I managed to put my hand in underneath the spider with this bowl turned upside down. And I just whack! I slam it to the roof really fast, and I've caught him. He's in this bowl. Now I've got to get him out of the fucking car. So what I would do is I slide the bit of cardboard slowly under the opening of the bowl. And I do that, and I slide, and then boom, I've got it. Now I've got a cover over the spider in the bowl. So I've got this fucking cover over the spider in the bowl. Now I'm trying to get out of the car. This cunt's putting his leg through, because it's not exactly flat. There's little gaps in the corner. And she's like, ran. Now it's she ran, and it's dark. I'm like, come back with that fucking light. I can't see who this goddamn spider is. So she comes back. Then he's half out, and I just grab it and I turn it and I put it on the ground. And now I have the cardboard flat on the ground, him inside this big bowl, but it's red, so I can't see through it. And I have my hand on top of it. I'm like, right, I've got him here. I said, but I have to release him away from the fucking tent. We don't want him coming back later on. She's like, okay. And I said, don't run away with that fucking torch again, because it's pitch black. I can't see shit. So it's fine. As I'm saying this to her, he's about, I'd say, less than a quarter of his body out from underneath the bowl. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I try to move the bowl. As soon as I said that, she ran away again with the fucking torch. I'm like, get the fuck back here. I can't see the goddamn spider. So she comes back with the fucking torch, shines on. I managed to pick up the bowl with the cardboard, and I ran over to the corner, and I threw that motherfucker in the field. So in the space of a couple of weeks, I had caught and released 2 huntsman spiders. One out of a tent, a tiny tent, and one out of a fucking car. Wow. So that's my experience with huntsman spiders.
They're really common in Australia, huh?
Big time. And if you see one, they've got them in Taiwan here as well. I've seen a huntsman spider here when I was hiking. I've never had a close encounter like that with them, but if there was one here on the table right now, a fully grown one, a big ass huntsman here on the table now, you would fucking lose you'd freak out. And if he started running and jumping, because the reason they call them a huntsman is because you know what they do? They pounce on their fucking prey. The huntsman doesn't make a web. Like, he doesn't stay in the corner of the room and make a web. I'm cool with a spider like that. Yeah, you're chilling over there. I know where you are. I'm down here. It's cool. A huntsman, like I told you earlier, he's running around the fucking room all night, fucking looking for shit to hunt. He's hunting. He's pouncing on shit.
That's interesting. So some spiders make webs, and some spiders do not. And those spiders run around looking for their prey.
Yes, that's why they call him the huntsman. There's also another spider in Australia I've encountered called a trapdoor spider. This is a freaky little thing as well. What he does is he kind of buries himself in the ground a little bit, and then what he does is he makes a little trapdoor on the entrance to his fucking little nest. And what he does is he waits there at the entrance to the trapdoor, and if something walks past it and falls in, he just grabs it, pounces it, comes out and takes it. Like,
That's awesome.
Spiders are freaky and scary, but in these moments, like, I guess I handled them well. Like, I jump into action pretty quick. Like, you know, I've had a couple of encounters with some very venomous snakes as well in the wild. I'll tell you about that maybe again sometime. But
What other creatures are there that set traps for their prey? Like, that's crazy that spiders build webs. You just said that there's another one that builds a trapdoor.
Trapdoor spider, yeah.
Then there's the huntsman, which are just like, huntsman's more like your traditional animal or insect.
Yeah.
You know, like a lion or a tiger. They just goes out, they find what they want to eat, and they eat it. But over the week, when I was looking at these spiders, I was like, man, spiders must be one of the most patient creatures in the world.
Yeah.
Because they just build this web that takes forever. Like, I just watched them build their webs.
Yeah.
There must have been 6 spiders on this porch, and I would just watch them spin their web. The next day, they'd be in a total different, like, location, kind of, and this web is just huge, and they just wait, and sometimes they catch some food, dope, and then their boyfriends are just, like, running all over the place.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of the time in the arachnid, you call them an arachnid, a spider. In the arachnid world, the female is usually much, much larger than the male.
Oh,
and
yeah.
A lot of the times, what will happen is that after intercourse or fornication, the female will eat the fucking male, right? But you know what? In a certain species of spiders, the males have evolved and they have figured this shit out. So what happens is that, okay, there's loads of males hanging around, right? There's a big ass female over there in the web. And it's like, they're like, go on, little Tommy, go over there and fornicate with fucking Esmeralda on the web there. And it's like, they're waiting for little Tommy to come back all day, and he doesn't come back. They're like, little Tommy didn't come back. Oh, okay, he must have ran off. And then it happens to little Jimmy, and then it happens to little Johnny. And they're like, hang on a second. So what happens is little fucking Mikey goes to Esmeralda for a bit of fornication, and little Joey follows him, and he watches, and he's like, fuck! Every time he has sex with her and she fucking eats his head off and eats him. No way. So what did these male spiders do? I mean, I'm getting creative with the story here, but what did they do is they would sneak up on the female and bite her before sex. They'd bite her and run away, and then she'd get paralyzed. And what they'd do then is they'd come over and have sex with her, and she wouldn't be able to eat them afterwards because they just paralyzed her with their venom and they'd run off. I mean, come on, that's awesome, right?
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So fucking funny. I mean, some people might call that drugging and raping. I don't know, like, but hey,
it's nice to know we're not the only species that does that. I was gonna fact check what I want to say, but I'll just say it. You probably actually already know the facts. So my buddy, he showed me, like, here's the golden orb female, and there's the male. You see those little guys that are running around? Those are the boyfriends.
Yeah.
And eventually, the boyfriend will run up, and like the woman's huge, and the boyfriend's like tiny, tiny.
It's
in comparison.
ridiculous. Yeah.
And he said, eventually, what will happen is the man will impregnate the woman.
Yeah.
And then the woman.
Man, you mean the male?
Yes, the male will impregnate the female, or maybe they don't even have intercourse. But what he said is the female gives the eggs to the male, then she injects the male with poison. Then the male takes off and dies with the eggs. And then the female also dies because typhoon season comes. And I think he said when typhoon season comes, all of them die. But then after that season, maybe it's winter, after that season, then the eggs will hatch and new spiders will be born.
Why does she have to inject him with poison and let him head off and die? Why does she have to do that? Like, can she not just let him alone? He's taking the kids anyways. He's doing his duty. He's taking the kids. She doesn't even want the kids. He's taking them away with him anyways. But
just to make him really realize, I was just using you. You were nothing more than a means to an end, motherfucker.
Yeah, I guess
you just
so.
hung around my web for a whole season, running around, eating my scraps and my fucking leftovers. Yeah. You never helped. You didn't build the web. You did nothing. You low-life fucking degenerate. Just sitting around on the couch watching TV and eating my fucking food all day. Now you're going to go out with the kids and you're going to fucking die.
That's pretty ruthless and heartless.
Never paid rent, nothing.
I think another species, well, this is an insect that eats its partner after sexual intercourse, would be the praying mantis. I think they eat a lot of their prey alive as well, like, which is pretty mental. In the animal kingdom, it's a common thing for, one thing to eat the other thing while it's still alive.
That's pretty cool. Well, they do that a lot, right? Like bears, or they eat like deer.
Lions
Not
as well.
bear, maybe, but
lions,
lions or tigers.
Lionesses.
They're literally just eating a deer while it's still alive. I've seen videos of that.
Yeah,
that's
it's
really
demented.
twisted.
It's absolutely fucked up, yeah.
I was just curious. Creepy cannibalism. Why female spiders eat mates. It's from livescience.com. That's a pretty reputable source.
Mm-hmm.
Females eat the males after sex. Studies have suggested various complex evolutionary reasons involving costs and benefits to the species, sperm competition, and esoteric sexual selection schemes. What the hell does that mean?
So the short and skinny of it is what? They eat them for what?
Actually, it's all about size. The boys are small, they're easy to catch, and therefore more likely to be prey.
That's crazy.
This is from the university in Ohio. That's crazy. Miami University in Ohio.
That's crazy.
Big females eat their puny little boyfriends because they're hungry and they can.
So anybody out
That's
there,
what it says.
Anybody out there that's listening, just count yourself lucky you're not a little male spider.
Yeah.
We have it okay, you know what I mean? We're not little male spiders, you know?
Imagine, like, if our girlfriends were much bigger than us and they get hungry and the grocery store's all out because, there's COVID and so people keep buying everything up and the woman's like, you know what? Little asshole Paddy, I'm just going to eat you because I can.
And I'm just going to tell you about it too before I do it, just to instill that fear into you. Because I know you can't escape. You know what, Yank? Let's leave that there today. I enjoyed actually retelling those stories about the encounters with the huntsman. And anybody out there that's scared of spiders, you've probably turned off by now already.
It's just like, you got to retell your huntsman stories, and this week...
I hadn't thought about that in a while, actually, until you sent me the pictures.
Really?
No, I hadn't thought about them stories in quite a while, no.
I'll post those videos on the Facebook, and maybe you can post them on the Instagram as well. But just like I got to retell my stories in the form of my book this week,
There you go.
That was amazing, and it's cool. I encourage our knowers and listeners to, if you got a story to tell... write that shit down. And if nothing else, for me, it's been extremely therapeutic because I've been able to, I didn't even really realize it, but I got a lot of skeletons in my closet. I have a lot of unresolved issues with my friends who died or myself and my past addictions or whatever. And if, maybe you don't have enough money for mental health counseling, or maybe you don't have access to the psychedelics that could help you come to peace with your inner child or your childhood trauma. If there's some trauma that you have not dealt with properly, I can tell you right now, write a book about that trauma. Or, it doesn't necessarily have to be a book, but journal. And put your trauma down, and it could really help you find some resolve with the situation. And maybe share it with somebody you love.
Amen to that, brother! Amen to that!
All right.
All right.
On that note,
we'll
have a wonderful day.
Subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, follow the Instagram, and look, engage with us. Leave some comments. If you like an episode, let us know you like an episode. If you like what we talk about, let us know you like what we talk about, okay? It all helps us grow the podcast. I'm not ordering anybody. I'm not fucking, holding you down, making you fucking press that button or anything, but,
give us a comment, and in that comment, maybe tell us something you'd like to hear a podcast about.
Yeah.
And we'll respond.
Alrighty. You know what? We're going to leave you today with the last
of the Mohicans.
the last tune off this Follow Me Down EP that we got sent into us, I think, a couple of months back by the Irish female solo artist Michelle Antonia, and this song is called Fever. Peace, everybody!
Goodbye now. pick up my things and go. And I'll say goodbye now. Watch me walk straight out that door. Because your heart was so cold, but you got that fever right through your bones. And come to my rescue, pick me up off this highway road. And I'll heal your misery, I'll show you the right way to go. Because your heart was so cold, but you got that fever right through your bones. Cause you spend your time chasing butterflies, so beautiful, so baby, why, oh why, you got a goodbye. So what's got you so down? Was my love not good enough? Go on, drink your moonshine. When you turn around, baby, I'll be gone. Because your heart was so cold, but you got that fever, it's right through your bones. Cause you spend your time chasing butterflies, so beautiful,